I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first.
So, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not anyway. I mean, she is a very different thinking than I have. Something happened to her over the last period of a month or two where she changed, I think, politically. I think that her constituents aren't going to be happy. Already, I have people calling me. They want to challenge her to a race in her district in Georgia. And, that's too bad. She's lost a wonderful conservative reputation. But when she says, don't go overseas, if I didn't go overseas, we might be in a war right now with China.
What happens when a movement built on loyalty starts eating itself alive? Welcome to the collapse of MAGA as we knew it. In the past few months, the Republican Party and Trump's base have been ripped apart from the inside, with former allies turning on each other in ways nobody saw coming.
Not releasing the Epstein files! Fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't care what you do. Start a fucking war. Just don't let them get out. If I go down, I will bring all of you down with me.
So normally I would err on the side of caution and I would say something like that is probably AI generated. With some factors at play, his voice was very, very hoarse yesterday. And if he spent the majority of the weekend on the phone yelling at people like that recording shows, and then he publicly pulled his support from Marjorie Taylor Greene this weekend, I'm gonna have to say that that phone conversation is very real. If it barks like a dog, if it walks like a dog, it's a dog. And they did say Trump is the dog that didn't bark yet, but maybe he just didn't bark publicly, and maybe he was barking over the phone like this all along. And we're not just gonna skim over the part where he said, start a war or something. If I go down, you're all going down with me? Get him the fuck out. Impeach him immediately.
A lot of the people that were MAGA are turning on the Trump administration, which I think is beyond fair at this point. I mean, with the lack of transparency and the gaslighting about what's been going on with the Epstein files, with the way that he seems to be placing a whole lot of other countries and corporations before the American people. And this was supposed to be a movement of like draining the swamp and anti-corruption. And it seems like we're just getting more and more of the same old tired bullshit. It absolutely makes sense to me why so many people that were MAGA are fucking pissed off now. They feel betrayed. This is why I don't affiliate myself with any political party. This is why I don't support politicians, because I don't feel like we've had anybody who had the people's best interest in my entire lifetime of being an American. What do y'all think about all this? Let me know down in the comments.
MAGA is disintegrating right before our eyes. So there's a major fracture. Everything from Donald Trump now not supporting Marjorie Taylor Greene simply because she continues to insist on releasing the Epstein files, even calling her crazy now that she's actually starting to sound sane for once. And in between the Jewish supporters like Ben Shapiro, Mark Levine, Stephen Miller, and the, Officer Tatum's. And now there's a new faction that is rapidly rising and taking over MAGA, and it's called America First. And I think there's an opportunity here with the America First movement. If the America First movement, everybody that is pushing this, and I subscribe to this, I see myself as America First. If we can make it separate from MAGA to where it is all inclusive, whether you're white, black, brown, Christian, Muslim, whatever, that it's not about race, it's not about this immigration thing, it's not about Nazism and all that stuff, or pro-Israeli stuff. If we can make it about, hey, we should have the best healthcare system in the world that is either free or extremely affordable. We should have the best education in the world, free or extremely affordable. We should have the best roads, bridges, and infrastructure. And we should have the best economy in the world, and we should invest all of our money into doing that instead of policing the world in order to help corporations and foreign countries like Israel and Argentina and Ukraine and whatever else. Because the United States is quickly going to destroy itself if we don't do that. Question is, where do we go from here? Do we start a new party, a new movement called America First? What do you guys think? Drop a comment down below. Subscribe to our Substack, support our work over there, and we'll see you in the next one.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking earlier today about how she had given Donald Trump her loyalty for free. That for 6 years, she had stood by this man, supported what it was he wanted to see come to fruition. She was integral in the metastasization of his words and his messages. And that she gave all of that, her loyalty, for free to him. But something I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene understands or realizes is that that loyalty came at a very big expense. Not only to the American people, as witnessed by what we are dealing with every day in this country now, but the expense was her integrity and her dignity and her trustworthiness, self-respect, but most of all, her self-worth. Because over the last 6 years, the self-worth that she had prior to becoming an integral part of his rise to where he is now, her self-worth for the last 6 years has been contingent upon her being useful to Donald Trump, contingent upon her obedience to him and what it is he wants her to do. And that's a very big cost. That's a very big personal loss, in my opinion. Because it wasn't loyalty that she was giving for free to him. He was making sure that she remained useful and obedient.
As a conservative and as a business owner in the construction industry and as a realist, I can say we have to do something about labor, and that needs to be a smarter plan than just rounding up every single person and deporting them just like that.
Right.
So, and I'm going to get pushed back on that, but I'm just living in reality from here on out.
Yeah.
And if
Here on out.
if anybody's mad at me for saying the truth, then I'm sorry.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, ladies and gentlemen, our next president. Sorry, JD Vance.
This guy's a nut.
Well, I mean, these people
Who
say
is this guy? Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon. I don't know all of his work, but this is stupid. Marjorie Taylor Greene, next president. He had to be joking. I wouldn't even joke with Marjorie Taylor Greene like that, because she can't even be the governor of Georgia. She'll never be the president. But you see what she's saying right there? Well, I'm just going to be, from now on, I'm going to do right. So you were tricking everybody and playing the game, and now you're going to tell the truth? Well, you know, you would think that somebody say, I'm America first, I'm America only. They lying to you. They don't believe that sugar, honey, iced tea. Because why you say, we just round up everybody and deport them? You should be saying, if you're America first, round them all up and let the Americans have those jobs. Let American citizens have the jobs. But she's worried about her own best interest in her company. I'm in the construction industry. If you weren't in the construction industry, would you care? No. Now all of a sudden she's trying to rebrand herself because she was so polarizing in the beginning, and now she's want to rebrand so she can be a little moderate so she can win races in the state of Georgia. It's all a farce, man. Let's bring in this clip of this.
I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with this, but MAGA is imploding right now, and MAGA is over has been trending heavily. Everybody is against everybody. But after connecting the dots, like y'all know I like to do, it seems like Is Not So Real is right at the center of everything that has been going on in MAGA for the past couple of months. I am pretty sure that this video is about to be heavily suppressed, but I'm going to try to put the information out there in a way that is going to be understandable, but a little cryptic. So when I refer to Is Not So Real, I'm just going to say that region. Walk with me while I try to connect these dots, because admittedly, this is a little messy. Now, we all know Nick Fuentes, the incel we own women's bodies guy. He has been really popular over there in the town square, formerly known as Twitter, propping up white supremacy, taking advantage of the male loneliness epidemic, and being extremely anti-Semitic. And he has been talking about for a while that Bone Spurs and his administration, which was supposed to do something about that region over there, has continued to fund that region over there, putting them before America. Now, Nick Fuentes has been one of the largest voices against the current Bone Spurs administration in a lot of different ways. He has been very critical of the HB1 visas. We talked about those. He has also been very critical about the $40 billion that he gave to Argentina. And he's even criticized those big booms that Bone Spurs sent over to Iran because he says that it was under the orders of that region. And not only has he been critical of Bone Spurs, but he doesn't like the couch-friendly VP either. And one of the reasons why he doesn't like him is because he says he's not trustworthy because his wife is brown. In his view, can you really trust him if he's not a full-on white supremacist? Because this America First movement, and let us be very clear, is a white supremacist movement. It is not all Americans first. It is just the white ones. And just the white ones that are also white supremacists. Let's be very clear about that. So all of the people that I am going to talk about in this video are completely deplorable. But I digress. Now recently, Fuentes and Tucker Carlson did an interview together where they had some very choice words for that region. So now Ben Shapiro, Laura Loomer, and the rest of MAGA are angry at Tucker Carlson for having that interview with Nick Fuentes and not really pushing back on a lot of the anti-Semitic stuff that Nick Fuentes said. Which I don't know why is so surprising to all of those people, because Tucker Carlson has been speaking out against that region for quite some time himself. Most notably on July 12th when he did an interview with Charlie Kirk, which I will refer to him as CK. I believe this is the last interview that CK had with Tucker Carlson. And that interview went ham on not only that region over there, but also the E-Man files. In that interview, Tucker Carlson brings up the fact that Maximilian, the one over there in that cushy camp, was the daughter of Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell is a Cold War publisher who is alleged to have intelligence ties to that region. Some people even refer to him as an operative. Tucker Carlson also brought up that E-Man and former prime minister of that region, Ehud Barak, met multiple times. Now, I looked this up. It is said that they met at least 30 times between 2013 and 2017. And E-Man had business deals with some of the officials of that region. Now, the insinuation is on Tucker's part because of those ties that E-Man and Maximilian had with that region. That region also had blackmail material on Bone Spurs. And we know via the emails, E-Man was giving information, blackmail type information, to other countries like Russia. So it wouldn't be that much of a stretch to give that type of information about Bone Spurs to that region, which makes Bone Spurs extremely pliable when it comes to doing what that region might want him to do. Y'all following me? And during that interview, even though CK was a staunch supporter of that region, he didn't do very much to push back on the things Tucker Carlson was saying. In fact, he kind of agreed with some of the things that Tucker Carlson was saying and said that we need more transparency and an open conversation about the influences of foreign countries upon the U.S. After what happened to CK, people started questioning the circumstances of what happened in that incident. Candace Owens came out against that region, saying that they had something to do with it. She had already been fired by Ben Shapiro for speaking out against that region. Tucker Carlson also said that it was a little bit sus that backstage in that interview, he wasn't going to go against that region. He recounted the conversation that he had with CK, saying that he wasn't going to say much about that region because he knew CK had donors that didn't like him talking bad about that region. But then he said that CK told him to go all the way when it came to talking about that region. And Carlson had asked him, "Are you sure that's what you want me to do?" And CK said yes. Now, Megyn Kelly heard that story from Carlson and remembered a conversation that she was having backstage with Carlson when CK came up to him and said, "Go Max." And she actually shared a video of him saying that. CK, even though he supported that region in public, may not have supported them as much as we might have thought in private. And one person that might have known that about him was his wife, Erica. Now, Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes have been pretty much side-eyeing Erica since that whole thing happened. And MAGA has been pretty much split between whether or not they support her. Usually the split is whether or not they are America First or whether they support that region. But Erica's past is not necessarily very clean when it comes to that region. First of all, her and CK actually met in that region. And rumor has it that after she won Miss Arizona in 2012, and after she went on to not win Miss USA representing Arizona, she went over to that region to, let's say, place Romanian kids with families. That's how I'm going to put that. Now, there is a lot online about that. to include why Romania stopped intercountry adoptions. Now, it must be said that there is no concrete evidence that she had anything to do with why Romania stopped that policy. But kids being adopted in that region were never heard from again, they say. So because of her ties in that region, people have been saying that she is in the intelligence services, if you will. And now that CK is not here, she has been competing with the couches, being a little bit more friendly to the couch-friendly VP. Now, why is that important? Because the couch-friendly VP would take over for Bone Spurs. And Bone Spurs, everyone knows, is not doing well with his health. He is also not doing well politically. So there is a very big possibility the couch-friendly VP is going to have to take over the presidency. And this is important because MAGA does not like the couch-friendly VP. And one reason why they don't like him is not just his milquetoast personality, but it's also the fact that his wife is brown. Counter that with a pro-that region, grieving widow blonde, and you might be cooking with gas. I think it is important to say that all of this is speculation on my part, but it is interesting that reports came out almost immediately from not only Bone Spurs, but from that region about CK's demise. The news came out from that region sooner than most thought they should have had the news. Now, as this whole E-Man Files thing goes underway, and Bone Spurs not doing what he said he was going to do in releasing said files, and it's becoming more and more and more obvious that he is trying to cover things up. These are things that people like Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and even CK himself started talking about and saying, even in July, in that interview, that the administration was lying to them and covering up for something. And the divide in MAGA even has people quitting and walking away from the Heritage Foundation. After Kevin Roberts, the CEO of the Heritage Foundation, made a statement saying that it was okay to criticize that region and still be a part of MAGA. This made a lot of donors of the Heritage Foundation threaten to walk away and even withdraw their support. And this also made people who worked in the Heritage Foundation quit, including the chief of staff of the CEO. Because the CEO tried to throw him under the bus, saying that he's the one that wrote the statement that got him in trouble. So he demoted him, and because he demoted him, that chief of staff just quit. So what it's seeming like is that every time someone speaks out against that region, they either get canceled, fired, or they get a ton of backlash. Enter Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been a staunch supporter of Bone Spurs and the entire administration, up to and including when political figures on the left were unalived by people from the right. At that time, she did not care at all about political violence. She was just fine with the people on the right making fun of political violence done to people on the left. Notably, Nancy Pelosi and her husband, and Melissa Hortman and her husband, who were both unalived at their home. Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't care too much when that happened. But according to her, when CK lost his life, she started to put the pieces together when it came to political violence. And she started to think about her own actions in that case. I think she started to think that way because she thought a little bit like he did. She has been speaking out against that region, and she has been a staunch supporter of releasing the files, even putting her signature on the discharge petition. But now that she has started speaking out very, very publicly about that stuff, going on interview after interview to badmouth this administration for the things that they are doing, now Bone Spurs has turned his attention onto her and has been essentially causing her to get threats. Now she's having to up her own security because of these threats. And one of her biggest criticisms of the Bone Spurs administration is that they are beholden to that region and they are not putting America first. But the thing is, a lot of MAGA who are already angry that their prices haven't come down, tariffs have been making their farmers go bankrupt, who voted for him 78%, people were going to lose SNAP, people are losing healthcare, and it is already proven that the conservative right are the ones that use government assistance more than anybody else. These people are mad because they are worse off now than they were during the Biden administration, and they don't like that. They really thought that his racist politics were going to get them somewhere, and they got duped. And even the patriotic blonde on the town square, formerly known as Twitter, admits that herself, calling him a psyop. So with all of that combined, we know that everything that is happening in the MAGAverse right now, that region is smack dab in the middle of everything. And it might be a good idea for Marjorie Taylor Greene to up her security. Just saying.
From Marjorie Taylor Greene apologizing on CNN, to Tucker Carlson being called a traitor to conservatism, to Trump backtracking on the Epstein files, to assassination and conspiracy theories tearing through the base. MAGA isn't just cracking, it's shattering. The question isn't whether the movement will survive, it's what emerges from the wreckage. Because one thing is clear, the MAGA of 2024 is not the MAGA of 2025, and nobody, not even Trump himself, seems to know where it goes from here. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.